Ministers, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all and to open this roundtable on investment and growth. We all look forward to a healthy exchange of views, and hopefully all of us will do our utmost to be frank and objective. I, for one, would like to think of myself as a relatively objective person, but as Robert Burns once said, it requires a very special skill and gift to see ourselves as others see us. Mr. Chairman, as we all know, in the last few years, Europe suffered from some major setbacks which have greatly inhibited investment and growth. The crises of recent years have shocked the European economies and, more importantly, traumatized the daily lives of many ordinary citizens. As unemployment increased dramatically and income and wealth inequalities became more evident. The market integration process has been substantially damaged and created distrust by the citizens exposed to Europe's economic turmoil. There was no option but to resort to the patient process of economic recovery. Having said that, however, I believe that any relaunch of the European economy should not be wholly dictated by the financial and economic downturn. All those who are involved in the shaping and implementation of economic and financial strategies need to adopt a more holistic approach that integrates the specific realities of member states and its citizens. We might find it useful to rethink seriously the assumption that there is a size which fits all descriptions and needs. This calls for a new paradigm of political thinking. Therefore, strategies and policies to revive the European economy should be based on pragmatic and comprehensive deal supported by all the member states, focusing on priorities which the member states will truly take ownership. The major challenge facing some European governments is how to address the inherent weaknesses in their economies. Some of them had and have a very precarious balancing act to follow. I think that Professor Monti would vouch for that. A balance that needs to be struck between austerity and growth, between an open economy capable of stimulating growth and investment, and one which is able to provide the necessary social safety net to its citizens. But in my view, the major real challenge is to restore Europeans' trust in the Union's economic system and market. Our institutions need to take concrete action on this sensitive development, since an element of economic protectionism and nationalism seems to be taking hold. In this unpredictable environment, the winners will be those who can understand the evolving scenario and public mood and change their stagnant structures and methodologies in good time. We should not rely on chance and an acute economic depression to bring about the necessary change. I am convinced that at this moment in time, Europe should concentrate on the fundamental issues of growth, investment, economic stability, employment, and social inequalities. In this particularly problematic and fragile time in Europe's history, it is unrealistic and counterproductive to increase uncertainty and instability by proposing drastic changes that could bring about new tensions. We should not inundate ourselves with issues which at this stage seem futile to ordinary citizens whose top priority is improving their quality of life. Unfortunately, it is in the nature of things that seemingly important issues sometimes overshadow more fundamental ones. A case in point is the huge topic of migration, which for many years was not given the concrete and urgent attention it deserves. So we need to concentrate on those policies that really matter and come out with real solutions. Let us focus on those projects that are really essential to economic and financial recovery. Of course, structural reforms and budgetary discipline are a must. After all, we cannot ignore the underlying weaknesses of low productivity, fiscal imprudence, and public debt. Yet, we should not be brandishing the slogan, austerity or perish. Any austerity program should always be coupled with a strong measure of hope. The ultimate objective must be growth through investment. Without growth, there can be no long-term solution. The completion of the single market must feature prominently in this. Despite the serious efforts made by the institutions, the revival of the single market is far from complete, and it still suffers from what Professor Monti has aptly described as market fatigue. There is no doubt that the single market could be the main catalyst to achieve a competitive social economy, and it will prove yet again to be the most powerful engine for reviving growth and investment. However, I would like to stress once again that to be successful, the single market has to be accepted by the citizens as championing their interests and protecting their rights, and by SMEs as giving them the right incentives. We should not take the market for granted, and it is not an irreversible process. A strong focus should be put on the small and medium enterprises that are the backbone of the European economy. They are the main drivers of job creation and investment. SMEs should be given the opportunity to play a prominent role in the shift towards a green economy. Investment and growth in Europe cannot be reinvigorated unless SMEs are given the tools to expand, particularly through access to much-needed finance, greatly simplified access to public procurement, and smarter regulations that cut red tape significantly. The EU has fallen behind in certain vital sectors. We all say we want more research and innovation, but we aren't reaching our goals. The concept of the knowledge economy has been around for some time now, but we are still far from tapping into its full potential. One could say the same thing for the green economy and the digital economy. Studies show that the development of the digital economy, coupled with the online single market, could increase the EU's GDP by several hundred billion. In this respect, it is essential that we eliminate the bureaucratic regularity and other bottlenecks that inhibit the expansion of the digital economy. We should also avoid the wholesale migration of industrial production to other regions of the world. Services are of paramount importance, and they can earn the EU billions, but it would be a mistake to denude the EU of the capacity to produce goods. In this context, we need to convince many stakeholders that state aid and competition rules are really fulfilling their function of guaranteeing an effective level playing field for all. Allow me, Mr. Chairman, to shift the focus slightly to Malta. The Maltese economy continues to perform better than the Eurozone average. We are achieving a higher growth in GDP, restraining our fiscal imbalance to below the 3% level, creating thousands of jobs, reducing inflation, and to diversify our economic activities. Stable ratings and higher inflows of FDI are the result of a sound regulatory environment, a good communications and physical infrastructure, a skilled and educated workforce, a population that is largely English-speaking, reasonable labour costs, a strong and sound banking system, social cohesion, and a good quality of life. In addition, we have a number of legislative and non-legislative initiatives that will make Malta even more attractive. These include reducing bureaucracy and simplifying, lower energy bills for businesses, increased female labour participation rates, higher investment in postgraduate education and research, and assistance to businesses for manpower training and capital investment. So, Mr. Chairman, it is not only tax incentives that make Malta a profitable place to invest, but more on this in the sessions that will follow tomorrow. I hope that this roundtable will be an opportunity for our visitors to learn why it pays to invest and grow in Malta. Despite the limitations of size, population, geography, home market, and natural resources, Malta has grown consistently stronger over the years. Through perseverance, resilience, and positive thinking, we have broken through barriers, both real and imaginary. Mr. Chairman, unfortunately, I don't have the time to go into too much detail when discussing other salient factors when addressing Europe beyond 2020, such as integrated transport systems, energy dependency, cross-border services, youth unemployment, and the poverty problem. But all these will surely have an impact. One of the sessions tomorrow will be about the future of Europe and the Mediterranean region. We have always strongly promoted the Mediterranean dimension of the EU, both because of the good neighbourly relations and also for their economic potential. It is very much a strong priority as a member state to continue pushing this to the forefront and to revive the EU Med process. As you know, Malta will have the presidency of the Union between January and June 2017. Although we still have to identify the main themes that will feature during our presidency, we are aware that our presidency can only be successful if we home in on the right priorities, some of which will be debated during this roundtable. Mr. Chairman, I am certain that the European Union has all the strength to transform the setbacks it has suffered into a positive comeback. To achieve all this, the EU has to show greater commitment, leadership, and ownership. Ladies and gentlemen, the European Union can be seen as one continuous development. This historical continent embraces a mass of divergent views, inconsistencies, contradictory thoughts, and vested interests, all of which have somehow been able to function together in a dialectically consistent and successful development. However, we should not ignore the authentic and very perplexing problems to make any accurate prediction for the future. In spite of this uncanny quality of the European Union, it is not simple to describe this complex entity. Any attempt to explain everything about it in any dogmatic way is underestimating the paradoxical challenges that we have to face. In conclusion, Mr. Chairman, I would like to quote Aldous Huxley, who once said, "Experience is not what happens to man, it is what a man does with what happens to him." Hopefully, the recent crisis has helped us to discover more who we are, where we're weak and where we're strong, but more importantly, that this will provide us with an opportunity to prove to future generations that we lived up to the challenges. Mr. Chairman, I wish all participants a good roundtable. Thank you very much.